just released from Fitbit is this new Fitbit Charge 2, and it's kind of the successor to the Fitbit Charge HR. And what I thought I would do is just give you a quick view of it, what it does, what it looks like, how it differs maybe from the Fitbit Charge HR, and also maybe how it differs from the Vivosmart HR Plus. Now, there's a link to the Vivosmart HR Plus. What I'm not going to do is go through that whole review again, but I've used them both for a 10K run recently, and I'll give you a rundown on the two of them. So heads up, first of all, the differences and what this does. You've got a screen which is very, very similar, and the whole thing, in fact, is very similar in dimensions to the Vivosmart HR Plus. In terms of the screen now is bigger than the Fitbit Charge HR. You could fit more on the screen. You haven't just got one or two lines of display now, you've got a lot more. And on that screen display, you can change it if you want to. It's got what it calls a touch screen. I'm not sure if it's a touch screen or if in fact there's a motion sensor behind it, because you can't swipe or anything like that, but you can change the display on some of the screens you're on just by tapping it once or twice. Now, again, I'm not sure if that is effectively a touch screen or if in fact it's just the sensor behind it causing the display, just like you used to be able to do with tap that one and it comes on in the same way, you see. It's got a button on the side, much like the Vivosmart HR Plus. Another difference is, before we go into the depths of this one, between this and the Vivosmart HR Plus, and I'm saying, comparing the two really, because I think that's where your competition is for this particular device, not necessarily this. It's obviously an evolution as against this one, and I'll come on to that as we go through the features too. Some of the differences are, first of all, for me, it's got 2 HR optical sensors instead of 3 on the Vivosmart HR Plus. That should make the Vivosmart HR Plus a little bit more sensitive and a little bit more accurate. Another big difference, however, is that these are always on. Unlike the Vivosmart HR Plus, where in fact, if it figures you're in a state of rest, it conserves battery life by turning those off. Now that's a big, big difference. Another difference would be, of course, that the Vivosmart HR Plus is waterproof. You can take it swimming. This is not. This is shower and splash proof. So you're not supposed to take this in the pool with you. You're not supposed to take this swimming. That's disappointing, Fitbit. Come on, make it waterproof. Everyone's doing that these days. Just make it waterproof. Another difference, of course, obviously, is in terms of the display. So this has a lit display, if you like, slightly different to the Garmin Vivosmart HR Plus. Differences being, of course, if I shine the light on this in bright sunlight like that, it then becomes hard to see. Now, in those conditions, the Vivosmart HR Plus would be very, very easy to see. However, if I then tip it away from the light, this is extremely easy to see, and in those conditions, the Vivosmart HR Plus would be hard to see, unless, of course, you press the backlight button on it. So it's kind of, horses for courses. But I suppose the big fundamental difference between this and the Vivosmart HR Plus is, of course, GPS. What they say with this is that if you want GPS, it'll hook up to your smartphone, and you can use a smartphone's GPS. Unlike this, the Fitbit Charge HR didn't hook up for GPS, so you couldn't do that. This does hook up with your smartphone for GPS, but then you've got to take your smartphone with you everywhere. If you're happy doing that, that's fine. Whereas the Vivosmart HR Plus, the latest Garmin wrist small device like this, has a built-in GPS. So again, those are the significant differences between them. You've got the HR sensor differences I mentioned, 3 lights as opposed to 2, but actually these are always on, the other ones aren't always on. You've got that waterproofness. This one isn't waterproof, it's just splash proof and shower proof. And then you've got the big GPS thing, and of course you've got that slight option, that difference in display. Battery life, really much of a muchness. The rest of the design is much of a muchness. They both come in different colours, and those colours will vary. On this one you can change the bands. It's got a nice stretchy band, just like the Vivosmart HR. Another slightly annoying thing, just while we're talking about things that are annoying, is of course the chargers. Now, not only do all of the brands have different charging devices. But even within the brand, each new device comes out with a brand new charger, and that's so frustrating. So if you've got, a watch and something else and a wrist-based device or something else like that, well, again, you've just got different chargers all the time. Now, I wish there could be some standardization there or something, because it is quite frustrating. In terms of price points, this has come out at $129. The Vivosmart HR Plus is about, depending on where you go, £10 or £20 more than that. And that's kind of release pricing for both devices, so that'll fluctuate. And again, it depends on that extra 20 quid, whether you want a GPS built in, whether you like the difference in display, and whether you prefer the other features. Now, to get through to the other features on this one, you've got a button on the side. So firstly, your screen here, your initial screen, you can choose different screens, different display types, and basically it gives you more information than the old Fitbit HR used to give, just because you've got a bit more screen real estate there, and you tap through to see usual stuff. No surprises there. You hit your button, and again, just like the other one, you've got heart rate. Perhaps you can then get a little bit more about your resting heart rate, etc., etc. That's a little bit high, which is a bit weird, but okay. Resting heart rates. You then go through to different exercises, and as you tap, you can choose different exercises. You've got a limited number, but you can go into the app and you can delete the ones that you don't want and install a couple of other ones. So instead of this one here, whereby you just press the button to start and then press the button to stop, and it would time it, and then you'd go into the app and tell the app what the exercise was. On here, you've got a bit more options to be able to choose your workout. It's gone again. And then again, to start it and to stop it, you'd press that. And what you get with this now as you're running is an estimate of your distance, an estimate of your pace, etc., etc. And if it's hooked up to a GPS device, that might be more accurate. It might not, depending on your GPS device. So, okay, you then go through to your activities, as I said. It's then got a stopwatch feature, which has got start and stop built in. It doesn't have a lap function. You've got a relax, which is, okay, it's going to tell you to breathe for 3 minutes and tell you to control your breathing. Nice if you want it. And you can set reminders to do that and set reminders to move, which is quite useful. It's then got alarms, which is another difference between this. It's the same functionality was on the Fitbit Charge HR, but not on the Vivosmart HR Plus. The Vivosmart HR Plus only allows one silent alarm, which is very frustrating. This actually, you can set multiple alarms, which is much, much better. But the alarms themselves are very, very faint. I would say, not as powerful as they were on the Fitbit Charge HR. They just feel more faint, the buzzes. And then you're back to the beginning. It does have smart notifications, but limited smart notifications. So that extends to phone calls, texts, and calendar alerts. And the nice thing is, first of all, you can choose whether to have one or all of those in the app coming to the phone, but you're limited to just those three. So that's phone, text, and calendar alerts. So other kind of things that might be happening on your smartphone at the time, you won't be notified of. Emails you won't be notified of, etc. So that's quite limiting in terms of smartphone notifications, but in a way it's now the Vivosmart HR Plus gives you all of your smartphone notifications, but they're either all on or they're either all off. So that's a big difference. One really huge difference for me, however, is that, again, one thing I really didn't like about the telephone ring notification on this was that it would just buzz once. And if you missed it, you missed it. It was actually really helpful. It helped me to catch calls I would have otherwise have missed, but it was one buzz. It's the same on this. It's so frustrating. If the phone rings, it just buzzes once. If you miss it, you miss it. Now, the Vivosmart HR Plus actually buzzes much more than that. So you've got a much higher chance of being able to, catch the buzz on your wrist or something. That's a real shame. I was hoping that would make a difference. So that's about it, really. I did do a 10K run just now with the Vivosmart HR Plus and with this. And I put some stats up for you to see the difference in terms of recording. Now, I purposefully didn't do GPS tracking. In fact, I did it on a treadmill, only because it's unfair to judge the iPhone's GPS, I think, which is what this would use, against the Vivosmart HR's GPS. That's not really fair. So I didn't want to do that because you're judging actually a third device, so didn't want to do that. I did a run for a set pace, as you can see. This figured that my distance was only about 9k, whereas the Vivosmart HR Plus reckoned I'd done 10.1k. Big difference. And that had a slight effect, obviously, in terms of calories. The pace, obviously, was uncalculated difference. It could simply be that this has given me a standard stride length, which isn't my stride length. Now, interestingly, I was using a third device, which I'm not going to comment on, which was also connected to a FootPod, which gave very, very accurate FootPod and a heart rate monitor, which gave chest-based heart rate monitor, which gave very, very accurate stats. And I have to say that the Vivosmart HR Plus, those stats were much, much closer to what that third party or that third device again gave than this. So, I'm figuring that that's down to stride length, nothing more than that. This is, so the heart rates, if you see for both, is much of a muchness. Then in terms of sleep tracking, it does track your sleep. But if you look at those sleep results, again, the Vivosmart HR Plus gave a bit more analysis. It gave me a bit more sleep, actually, and analysed it between deep sleep and restless sleep. Not so much analysis. There was kind of on the Fitbit, on this Fitbit, it was, I was awake for a minute at the beginning, awake for a minute at the end, and then it was just flatline in between. I know that wasn't the case. Because I know how I slept. And again, I would say the Vivosmart HR Plus was a bit more accurate there. So there we are. That's the brand new Fitbit Charge 2. I would say it's, in terms of the Fitbit Charge HR, it's more evolution than revolution. You can pick these up now for about £90. So if I were buying one, you then think, well, is it maybe 50% again for this? You've got more screen real estate. It does look nicer. How long that screen will stay smart, I don't know. But what can you say? You pay your money, you make your choice. It's a nice device. They come in different colors. You can change the bands. You can get some quite expensive bands and quite smart looking bands. I quite like it. It doesn't meet my needs just because it only it isn't worth the additional investment, because it doesn't really surpass this in terms of the sport tracking for me anyway, but for you it might do. So for me it's not a vote yes, and for the difference in price I would probably go for the Vivosmart HR Plus myself, because I'm more of a serious runner. But actually that might not be you, and you might be very happy with that, in which case go for it and enjoy it. There we are. That's the Fitbit Charge 2.
And finally, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. Both those two things really make a difference. Thanks very much for looking.